Magandang araw, Podmates! Ang ating guest ngayon ay malawak at sari-saring iniisip tungkol sa lipunan, youth culture at identities. Siya si Dr. at Professor Jail Cornelio na kamakailan ay ginawad na TOIM Awardee bilang isa sa mga outstanding young Filipinos. Magandang araw sa iyo, Jail, at congratulations!
Magandang araw, Sir Howie. Maraming salamat. Karangalan ko po na maging kasama kayo ngayon.
Meron kang librong inedit at co-wrote recently, Rethinking Filipino Millennials. Label yan ng isang buong henerasyon ng kabataan, a very familiar label or branding. Pero may stereotypes kasi yan, di ba? As you've described. And we've all heard the stereotypes. You're empowered but self-centered, ambitious, passionate, woke, etc. You call them treacherous, o taksil, a strong word, So you need to explain that for us. Ano bang kailangan natin pag-isipan ulit o i-rethink tungkol sa Filipino millennials, mga Pilipinong kabataan?
This really excites me kasi I've napansin ko dito sa Pilipinas, meron tayong tendency to copy wholesale mga ideas or concepts generated in the North America. Kasama dyan yung mga generational labels. Problema yan ng mga social sciences around the world. Pero dito sa Pilipinas, malinaw na malinaw ito sa larangan ng pag-aaral ng kabataan at ng generational change. So obviously, people say, oh, millennials, no? Tapos ngayon may Gen Z. Tapos mayroon nang nag-emerge, ito daw yung mga pinanganak ng mga late 1990s onwards. Tapos meron na raw emerging na Generation Alpha 2010. Yung mga ganong categories, sir, ay nagwo-work yon in the context of North America because of their history. The reality is that from a sociological perspective, hindi mo pwedeng sabihin na lahat ng pinanganak in 1992 or 1982 belong to this generation anywhere in the world. Bakit? Kasi each country has its own history. And generations are in fact shaped by their own historical experiences shared by many, many people who were born or alive at that point in time. So sa Amerika, malinaw na malinaw yung baby boomer, for example, because they were born at the time when the population was growing and the economy is growing. Exactly. So nag-boom. So yung population nag-decline and then nag-boom, no? Sa Pilipinas, yung karanasan natin ng yung baby boomers na yan, bumangga yan sa maraming mga bagay Yung economic growth, totoo, may economic growth tayo, may population growth, totoo, pero meron tayong sumabay na martial law. Meron dictatorship, no? So yun yung complication doon na hindi naman na-experience ng somebody who was born at that time in North America or in Western Europe. So doon pala makikita nyo na may ibang karanasan yung mga Pilipino that could have in fact shaped their consciousness. So in that sense, we can even argue there is this martial law generation. O ano pa, pagdating ng 1980s, di ba, nagsimula ang pagpapadala natin ng mga OFWs 1970s. Kailan pinanganak yung mga anak nila? 1980s. Isa ako doon, Sir Howie. No? Isa ako doon. Tapos ang tawag sa akin ay millennial. Pero dun sa pagbinasa natin ng mga nasasabi at naisulat na tungkol sa mga millennial, we don't really hear anything or read anything about these are young people who were born to OFW parents in the 1980s. Kasi ikokopyahin lang natin yung sinabi ng North America na ito ay mga digital natives or sila ay mga tech savvy. Pero sa Pilipinas, actually, marami dito, ito yung mga anak ng mga aspirational middle class, mga nagtrabaho sa Middle East or naging seaman or in the 1990s, naging mga domestic helpers in Hong Kong and Singapore. Again, that is another historical moment that shaped and continues to shape young people today. So yung mga ganun nating dapat tingnan.
Isang point mo ay may sinabi ka minsan na these labels are remarkable for not just what they reveal but what they conceal, no?
Exactly.
Because what they conceal is a very divided or unequal society. Kasi nga, pag sinabing millennial lifestyle, digital natives, mga ganyan.
The reality is that it challenges us, adults, young adult people who are working with young people, to number one, be very careful about the generalizations that we make about them. Oh, ang mga kabataan ngayon hindi marunong sumunod. Ang mga kabataan ngayon impatient. Ang mga kabataan ngayon ay etc. etc. I think that's one of the implications. And then number two, yung political consciousness. Yung political consciousness, sa totoo lang, naiintindihan ko yung yung gusto natin na makita yung mga kabataan to be more politically active and so forth. And somehow nakita natin yan in certain rallies, in certain movements in the past months, weeks. Pero makita rin natin na actually delikado kapag masyado nating ina-expect ang mga kabataan to behave in this way or in that way, kasi madi-disappoint din tayo when in fact they may have a very different opinion about whom to vote for or about how to participate politically. If we want to this generation to capitalize on what they have experienced in the past year or months, we need to work together, the academe, the media, civil society, and so forth, and really rely on these young people and put them at the forefront of decision making, participation, saying a lot of things about what should be done in our society. That could make a difference.
Hi, I'm Howie Severino. Check out the Howie Severino Podcast, an original for GMA News and Public Affairs. New episodes will stream every Thursday. Listen for free on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and other platforms.